The Walking Dead. Spoilers for the entire show so far, except for Fear the Walking Dead. Who cares about that? It's going to be kind of a review, summary, commentary, kind of hybrid. So The Walking Dead is a zombie show. It's, I think, the biggest show in America right now. It might be Game of Thrones, but I think it's Walking Dead. I think they have the highest numbers. We're going to kind of skip right to Season 2, because that's when everything happened. The only big thing I remember in Season 1 that's worth mentioning is that guy in the CDC center, when he's yelling at them, is like, "We work with things like Ebola, smallpox, things you don't want getting out, ever!" So Season 2, they're at the farm, and then the first thing I want to talk about is Rick and Shane. So Shane's a dick. We all hated Shane. We all wanted him to die. But other than stealing Rick's wife and kid, he has good intentions. He wants to help the group survive. Doesn't like the way Rick does things. Like, we gotta be harsher. We gotta be more iron fisty kind of way. And the two of them are getting at each other, and it builds and builds and builds for the whole season until at the end, Rick finally kills him. Shane probably got the best character death, I think, of the entire show. It's like dark, and you can see the moon's up here, and they're like on a hill at night. And when Shane is finally gone, you kind of feel like a piece of the show is gone. It's like, it's Shane. It's The Walking Dead. We kind of grew up with Shane, even though he was a bad influence. Alright, first half of Season 2, terrible. Second half of Season 2, cool. The first half of Season 2, it's kind of slow. They lose Sophie, and they're just looking for her, and they're like, let's get on with it. And then Carl gets shot, and the show slows to a crawl. Nobody gives a damn about Carl. I did like the thing in Season 2 where they have that guy prisoner from the enemy camp, and they're like, well, we don't know what to do with him. We're keeping him here. We have to keep him locked up. He's a danger to everybody else. We have to give him food. He's an extra mouth to feed. But at the same time, we can't just off him. We can't just kill him. And then the solution is like, all right, just take him and leave him. Though what they probably should have done is just not picked him up in the first place. I mean, he was shooting at you a couple seconds ago. I get it. Rick's all being nice. This is Rick's super nice air. It's like, we can't just leave him. That was too much grit. That was Season 5 Rick. And Rick's like, we can't just leave him. We gotta take him with us. And then they're like, all right, so we'll just drop him off. So they do drop him off, and then they're like, and then he's like, what about Maggie? He's like, what did you say? So like, he knows where Maggie's farm is. So we're like, crap. Okay, I honestly don't know how I would deal with that now if I was in Rick's place. And Shane's like, just kill him. And Rick's like, no, we can't do it. And Laurie's like, can you just drive him farther away? He's like, we can't afford the gas. And I was really looking forward to how they were going to solve that until Shane just kills him. And I'm like, that's a quick fix out of they built this situation very well. And then Shane just kills him. Dale's a good character and was rewarded for it with the worst death in the entire show. He's just walking around out in the woods, and then a zombie just attacks him, and it turns around, and he's like, ah! And then he's behind him. Every time in the show, somebody gets killed because there's a zombie behind them, or they trip or fall over, is an easy death. And it's like, no. Those are stupid deaths. They're poorly written into the show, and they're completely unsatisfying. T-Dog also had kind of a terrible death. He's just trying to open the lock, and then somebody just bites him. But at least he made up for it by, like, then getting things done because he's now expendable. But in the end, Season 2 did reward us with 3 additional good characters. We have Herschel, Maggie, and Beth. Everyone likes Beth because she's the sweet, innocent girl, and Maggie's the hot one. And then Herschel is Santa Claus. He didn't have a beard at this point, though. Herschel is the first example we get of, like, good character development. So first he's all in the barn. He's like, the Lord said we will stay here, and that's what we will do. And then he gets all depressed, and he's drinking. He's like, there's no hope. I give up. And then, as they move into Season 3, he becomes a very strong character. He grows a beard, which is the symbol of character growth, is the beards they get. And Herschel ends up giving the flame off to Rick to lead. But when Rick can't lead, Herschel does again. In Season 3 in the prison, when Rick's just walking off and he's like, get back here! Rick, I'll put my daughter's lives in your hand, and you will take that responsibility. It's harder to do an impression of Herschel, I'm sorry. And the thing with Beth and Andrea, Andrea. And the thing, when Beth is, like, trying to kill herself, and Andrea tries to let her try to kill herself, it's like, no, that is not how you deal with that. And then they're like, it's like, who are you to tell us that we have to live these terrible lives? Like, no, don't commit suicide. You don't give up. You keep fighting. And the speech that Rick gives at the bonfire at night is awesome. That's when we really start to get hardcore, badass Rick. He's all like, for Christ's sake, I killed my best friend for you people. You want to leave? Go. No one's telling you to stay. See how far you get. But if you're staying, get one thing straight. This isn't a democracy anymore. And we move into Season 3. And this is where Rick really starts to shine. He takes charge and he starts doing things the way you should. Character development is something that the show does so exceedingly well. And in season 3, Rick starts to connect with Carl a little more, because Carl was being like all distant, and like, I don't want to grow up to be my father, and he was a bratty kid, so he's still a bratty kid now. They're like out in the field of the prison, like planting crops together, and it's a good father-son bonding moment. And I like the prison. The prison just, it looks cool. I like this giant metal stone castle just on a hill. It's a good look. But something I did notice, this might have been happening the whole show, but I only noticed it really bad here, is in some of the firefights that they have in the prison yards, the slides are not going back on the handguns. That is like high school drama show bad 101. In season 3, we get Andrea and Michonne, and Andrea's all in the village or whatever they called it. Andrea is just the worst, and I'm moving on. I feel Philip's a good villain, especially when he gets the eye patch. He starts looking like a pirate. And then he grows a beard later, and he makes it all like, we don't care about Rick, we just want the prison. Is there anybody who doesn't have a Texas accent in this show? We start to learn more about Michonne, but from the jump to season 2 to season 3, we just kind of are expected to know that Andrea and Michonne had been bonding. And I didn't care about Andrea, and kind of started to care about Andrea because Michonne cares about Andrea. I'm like, alright, fine, she can stay for you, Michonne. But I'm not happy about it. And also this whole Glenn-Maggie relationship, I don't buy that. There's no way Glenn would ever get mad. And we move into season 4. And the beginning of season 4, when they get thrown out of the prison, is like, this is where we start to slow down again. This is where we lose a lot of the character development we got with Carl and Rick. Because remember, he's walking off, and Carl's going ahead of Rick, and he's like, Carl! And he's trying to get him to slow down. He's like, Carl, wait up. Carl just starts being a brat again. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're throwing that character development down the toilet. Daryl and Beth, too, when they're on their own, I feel like we're supposed to get them connecting. I don't really feel them connecting, and that really slowed the show down, too. Both of those characters individually I liked, but together, they're not really compatible at all. He's like, I'm gonna have my first drink. And he's all like, well, it ain't gonna be no effing peach snaps. So I don't know why everybody likes Daryl like the best. I don't get it. Rick is definitely the cool one. Rick is definitely the awesome one. I don't get what everybody likes Daryl. Daryl's good because he recognizes Rick as the leader and he follows them. He's as capable a character as Rick, and he sides with Rick. That's why Daryl's cool. Especially with his upbringing being terrible with Merle, and Merle's a dick. And Merle is a good villain for the show too, especially without a hand, because the villains always have to have something cool about him. I started to realize that Merle's, yeah, he's a dick, but he's not a dick. He's not like an evil dick. Like, the one thing he cares about is surviving. And if that means robbing innocent people on the road, leaving them to die, okay. If that means working with Rick and the other good people to stay with them and get in their food supply, he'll do that too. Abraham's another cool character. It's all the people with the facial hair, really. I'm a sucker for facial hair. If I was a girl and I was like hot enough to deserve a boyfriend, I would... that sounded bad. Oh man. I would probably go for the nearest big jacked guy with the fullest beard. It's not a handlebar mustache. He's got like a biker mustache, but it extends down a little, so it's got like a kind of 1800s look to it. It's awesome. He's going with them. He's like, on the mission, like Washington, D.C. He's like, we're on it. Like, he's got his mission, but that's all he has left. So when he loses that, he just kind of breaks down. And I get that. I'm like, poor guy, man. But it's showing the flashbacks of him, like, killing people who are trying to attack his family. His family's all looking at him like, you monster. And I'm like, okay. Really? This happens with Gabriel, too. Gabriel is also the worst. People who just think any kind of killing is evil are just, they're the worst. He's like, these people need to die. Why can't you get that? His family's pulling away from him. He's like, screw you. Look, I killed this guy because he was gonna kill you. I saved you. And then in the last episode of season 4, the coolest thing in the entire show happens.
Hey! Right out of here! What the hell are you gonna do now, sport?
That was awesome! That right there pushed Rick from awesome into, like, legendary status. Rick is receiving the first ever, I guess Garrett would have gotten him, but we'll worry about that in the 2015 awards since this is a catch-up show. Rick gets the first ever awesome, badass, hardcore character award. I'll come up with a little logo for it later. But yeah, if they ever kill off Rick, I'm not watching the show anymore. Rick is like half the show. He is that good and that cool. And that's the best part about season 3 and 4, because when Lori dies, he breaks down. Oh, screw Lori. Lori also the worst. But Rick loses his way for a little bit, and then he starts to let people back in. But his character arc is so good. It's from being like way too nice to way too mean to the perfect balance. And then he carries that through to season 5. He starts to let people in. He's like, I got 3 questions for you. How many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed? Why? And then the premiere of season 5 happens, and seasons 1 through 4 have been like heavy TV-14 to light TV-14. I mean, it's mostly like there's some blood and there's guns and they say shit, but it's mostly zombie guts, so it's all fine. And then season 5 just opens up with I'm watching this with my little sister, and of course that is right when my mom walks in, and she's like, "You have been letting my daughter watch this horrible show." I'm like, that is so unfair. Like, that came out of nowhere. Come on. But the part where they're kind of like in the barn, and they get approached by that guy who looks like he's like, should we trust him? Should we go with him? That takes him eventually to Alexandria or Constantine. What's the name of the final city that they're in right now, going into season 6? Whatever. And Rick's giving the speech, and he's all like, "We are the Walking Dead." That was good. That was cool too. And I love the double entendre of the show's name. The Walking Dead, literally, the zombies. Yeah, that's good. And then the fact that they're all, like, expendable. You are all on borrowed time. You are all already past the amount of time you've been owed. Anybody living into the apocalypse is in overtime, really. They're getting bonus. This is your extra credit. So don't feel like you are owed anything. And the part where they're staying in the barn and there's walkers outside and the storm starts to push and everybody's all going up against the thing, that was a good moment. And then they wake up and the tree killed all the zombies, and like, that was God. Thank you, God. And then when they do finally go into this new city place, before they do, and Michonne's trying to get Rick to, like, come on. Like, Rick can't really believe that a place could be their final setting. He's like, I can't trust this anymore. And Michonne's trying to get him to hope. He's like, come on, this could be a good thing for us. And he's like, and he hides the Glock in the blender and the thing. Like, that's good old Rick, still being prepared. Can't be too careful. And then a lot of people thought Beth was the saddest character death, but for me, this is what hit me. No! Rest in peace, Rick's beard. Season 1 to season 5. I do like the part when Rick's got the blood all over his face and he was kicking that guy's ass because he was beating his wife. And everybody's getting mad at him. And was like, when he was like in this town, like looking at him all like, really? I'm like, what he should have said is like, I'm sorry. I didn't know we allowed domestic abuse here. And Michonne only stopped. I mean, he was pointing a gun at them, so that'd be the only thing I could see. But other than that, he was completely right. And you were all stupid. And I do like the part when Glenn kicks that, like, military guy's ass, and when they're, like, playing with the zombies, it's like, are you kidding me, dude? Do you realize what this is? It's like, you need to take this seriously. And that just proves the point that this little group of people, this town, they don't know what's out there. They don't have any idea what's going on or how to deal with it. And Rick and everybody realized that. Like, we're just gonna take charge. We're doing this for your own good. And then season 5 ends with Rick finally getting across his point that your way of doing things simply will not work. You need to let us do it for you. And it seems like he got that message across to everybody, and they finally go, alright, fine, Rick. And that's where the show ends. And season 6 premieres this Sunday, and I'm excited. So, as on the whole, Walking Dead is an awesome show. Season 1 is good. First half of season 2 sucks, and the second half of season 2 is when it really starts to get awesome. I feel on the whole, there's a lot of cool stuff in the show, but it could easily have gotten its points across in 20-minute episodes instead of 40. It moves just painfully slow sometimes. Thank you for watching. I'm Wesley Thompson. Like, share, comment. Damn car.